Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Christ University for giving us this opportunity to talk about inclusive learning, accessibility of education to all. And by our names, I think you would have understood that we have some kind of connection, Devranshi and me. So she is my younger sister's daughter. So I've seen her grow from a baby till where she is. And today I will be in conversation with her. So first of all, I would like to ask all of you, do you know how many people with disabilities are there in India? Percentage or the absolute number? Percentage will do. You are all DIB students. What percentage? Just common sense. No answer is correct or wrong because we don't have current absolute numbers. So 2%? Who said that? Yeah. Any other number? 4%. Sorry? 4%. Okay, this was a calculated guess or what? So as per 2011 census, there were 2% or 2.21% of Indians were with disabilities, but that's a very old data. And as per recent WHO's statistics, we have somewhere about 7 to 8% of Indians who have some kind of disability. So do you agree with me that it's a very large number? And have you seen them in your campus? How many students with disability are here in the campus? I saw one person in the video, so I know that there are some. But in proportion to the people the number which I was just talking about, we don't see them. We don't see them very often. We don't see them in schools and colleges. We don't see them in social gatherings. We don't see them in community events. So if there are so many people, where are they? What do they do? How do they get educated? Because we just saw Siddharth. He's working at the senior management level. So where are those? How do these people get educated? India has laws which makes education accessible or mandatory for everybody, including people with disabilities. One is that Right for Persons with Disability Act, which says inclusive education is mandatory for all children with or individuals with disability. And then we have Right for Education Act, which says everybody should study. But we hardly see that. We do talk about inclusive education. I think you must have heard about it. So today we are going to discuss this. That I would like to give one more statistics to you. That there are only 50 plus, I think 54% people who are literate. And when you talk about being literate, it means that they can read and write in their native language. It's not education. And only 0.5%, not 0.5, 5% of those literate people are become graduate. And only 1% of those actually go to work in the organized industries. So the scene is very grim, and we need to understand that what is inclusive education and how the organizations such as or institutions such as your own university can actually enable education for people with disability. So we have today Devanshi Saxena. She has studied mainstream all through, and she is working today, very successful. She is also President's Medal awardee for her innovation. She has a couple of patents in her name. So she has lived this experience, and she will be sharing her insights today with you. So welcome, Devanshi. So before we start, we heard about your professional experience. Would you like to share more insight about the person you are, where you studied, and the hobbies and other activities you do?
transferable job. So I used to move around. So I came in Durban. I had been to Italy school, and after that I graduated in Bachelor of Design from National Institute of Design, and then after that Master in Industrial Design from IIT Bombay. And in my free time, I like to do something creative. But recently, I have been going for cycling and playing PlayStation game with my partner.
Would you mind telling about your condition? About your condition?
And
Condition?
condition, oh yeah, I'm hard of hearing.
So what does it mean? What does it mean? Because as far as all of us understand, people who are hard of hearing cannot hear anything. And if you can't hear anything, how do you speak? How do you speak? Can you just explain this?
How do I speak?
No. So can you explain the difference between hard of hearing and other types of hearing impairment, like being deaf?
So yeah. That is a great question because I wanted people to understand how hard of hearing is different from being deaf. So deaf people they can hear little to no sound, and they use sign language as their primary communication. They are hard of hearing, they have partial hearing, and have 80% hearing loss. But it does not mean so I can communicate with people using hearing aids, but it does not mean that I can understand everything. Like growing up, I have used speech therapy to communicate with spoken language. So I don't use sign language, and it does not mean that I can understand everything. For example, I watch movies with a hidden subtitle. I can make phone calls with a hidden live caption. It is difficult to talk to people in darkroom because I cannot understand people lip reading. So I rely on lip reading context and technology to understand what is going on. And I struggle in group activity, group conversation. So that being said, I wanted people to understand that hearing loss is not black and white. It is a spectrum. So the best way is to ask us what are the best way to communicate with us.
Thank you. So now we understand that even if she hears only 20%, but with the help of the technology, the hearing aid, and also the speech therapy, she not only learned to listen. Hearing is different from listening, but she also learned to speak. And today she is able to communicate anything she wanted to. And would you like to show the technology you are using to understand? So she is using live transcription on her phone. So here. And so she can understand whatever, but she was complaining that the sound system here is not very great. And her transcription app is not able to present the correct word. So it was becoming difficult. So 50-50 she was able to understand. So she's she's making effort from her side. I think we and the technology should also do our own job. And as she said that when you are communicating with any person with any kind of disability, that it's best to ask them that how you can support. And for communicating with Devanshi, it's best to ask her what is the best way to communicate. So even you would have seen that I wanted to tell her something and I just picked up my phone and I typed some message because because I was speaking in low tone, she was not able to understand. And that's what we do all the time, right? In the classroom, all of you would be sitting and chatting with somebody else, and you are using technology. So you just need to be a little mindful of that, and we can communicate well. Okay, Devanshi, can you? So we know that you have studied in mainstream schools, and you have done your graduation from National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, NID, and post graduation from IIT Mumbai. You have been always, all through you have been studying in the reputed organization. So, were there any challenges, any difficulties did you face all through your life from the primary schooling till the graduation and post graduation? And also, when now you do the online training, are there any challenges do you face? Would you like to talk about it?
Okay. So I want to make still here in school and growing up was quite difficult and challenging because I was learning how to speak and hear at the same time. And there was during pre-digital time. So there was no caption, no speech-to-text apps, and frankly, nobody knew what accessibility was. It was quite unknown concept. So most of teachers and students, they did not understand what being hard of hearing means. And in fact, when I was 5 years old, there was music classes, and everyone in the class even asked to sing a song. But I didn't know how to sing, and I kept quiet. But the music teacher, he saw me and he just slapped me out of nowhere. And I was so shocked. I was not being disobedient. I just didn't know not enough to follow the lyrics. So that moment stuck with me. So it showed me that how people can misunderstand my condition even in an environment that are built not to include us. And then in Paris was not any easy. In NIT and then later in IIT Bombay, there were no common accommodation for hard hearing. So it was design education was quite different because we don't use textbooks. We have lots of conversation, open-ended conversation, group discussion. So most of the time, it was difficult and hard for me to follow the conversation without the support. So sometimes people misunderstand me that I am being disinterested or aloofness, but in reality, what they don't know is that I am trying to understand in the first place. I am just trying my best in my own way, just a different way. And so later, it's like that there was no accommodation, so I had to find my own way to make things work with whatever I had. And it was never easy, but I kept adapting.
Yeah, I do understand, and I think Siddharth also mentioned the same thing. The easiest thing is for the schools to say, no, we can't admit your child, send that child to the special school, and there also the child is misfit, because child is bright, child can do it. It's only that they do things differently. That's about it. They are not differently able, but they do things differently. All of us do things differently, right? So I know that studying in mainstream schools was even more difficult for her. And but you passed all of. She is a 90 percenters in 10th and 12th standard. She has been always the top ranking student in whatever she did. So you must have gotten some support. So can you talk about the support? Who were those people who supported you? Was it the family? Was it the friends? Was it the school, college? So can you talk about that?
Yeah. So the earliest support came from my parents. They will communicate money to my school principal and class teacher at the start of every academic year. So I was seated in the classroom, I was seated in front of the teacher, so I can see them speaking properly, hear properly, rely on the lip reading. And I was also seated beside the best note taker of the class, so I could copy the notes and I understand what's going on. It was not perfect, but it was helpful in some way. There was one very helpful method that I used to study short test in advance at home. So my parents and my tuition teacher, because certain any short test lesson in the class, they will teach me so that I can understand what is going on in the classroom, so I can participate and know the context. And in IIT, like I mentioned, there was no formal accommodation. So what I did is that after every class, I will approach professor and ask them to explain everything. But it is not helpful because they will not explain everything. They will explain in short and simple version. So I used to miss out lots of things. And I also asked my classmates to help me. And in the end, I was just trying to keep up in the situation. Similar in IIT Bombay, but I had two professors who were very proactive. One of them called speech to add features in WhatsApp, and he will use that feature to communicate with me if I didn't understand. So it was very small thing, but it meant a lot to me. And I was just very lucky to have amazing friends from NIT and IIT Bombay. If I am lucky to share a class with them, they will come sit beside to me and quietly type the notes for me. So I will be included. So I'm so happy and lucky. But there was one incident. One of my friends, he was typing the notes for me. That sound started often in the laptop. It irritated my professor. He asked what he is doing. My friend said that he is just typing notes for me. He didn't say the professor. He just said, just shut down the laptop. It hurt a lot because it seemed like my needs are so invisible sometimes. So, but the thing have improved since COVID time. There are so many live caption has improved. There are so many speech to text apps, and so in professional setting before COVID, I was not able to communicate properly with colleagues from America because live caption was not available or it was not that accurate. But now I am competently collaborating with colleagues from outside like Netherlands and Germany. So that's one thing, one challenge remains. I struggle to participate in group activity, sometimes face to face because sometimes they can speak too fast. I don't understand their accent. So I wish there can be some better solutions.
Thank you. But one word which you used, I think, is we must all take notice to it, and that is the word invisible. She said, as if my needs and me are invisible, and that's what I think I was talking about initially when I was asking, have you seen people with disability across your community or even in the club? So this is something, if we just try to recognize, and whatever we do, we try to include everybody's need into that as a part of the design itself, not as an afterthought, then I don't think anybody will have any difficulty in participating into anything. I just want to talk about a small incident. Recently, I was in Singapore, and there my daughter is a speech therapist, and she works in the area of alternative and augmentative communication method. And so we went and attended one event where the children who came, it was for children, it was a carnival. They all came. None of them spoke. They just used the board with pictures to communicate. And my 9-year-old granddaughter was there, and she was very effortlessly using that board to communicate with those young children. And she was actually volunteering with some children to help them complete some activity. After everything was over, next day when we were talking about the event, my daughter asked her daughter, my granddaughter, so what do you think? How was it yesterday? What is one thing which sticks out, and that 9-year-old says that anybody can do anything. And what does it mean? Because if you just, whatever you create in that, if you include the needs of everybody else and not just the majority of people, then anybody can do. Even the person, it's a voluntary organization which has organized it. President of that organization was non-verbal. He was also using technology. He addressed the event. So anybody can do anything. We just need to be a little sensitive. So coming back to the topic, we are sitting here in Christ College. There are so many students who are going to be part of maybe the education industry later on. So as a person with lived experience, who has experienced the challenges, what are those few key things which you would like to tell Christ University, and especially when this university is also committed for diversity, equity and inclusion, then what are those few things that the university should do so that the education becomes accessible to everybody in this university?
Okay. I think the first step is simple but often missed, because the admission understand that every student has different needs. So and be prepared to meet them. Do not wait for a student to struggle with figuring out accommodation. There are some practical things that this university can do. Number one, improve physical and digital accessibility, provide live caption and speech to text tools in classroom, especially for lectures, seminars, and online learning. Except for the last video, I didn't see any subtitles in other videos, not good, but okay. Number two, set up a note taker system. Hire someone who can type notes in real time. Number three, introduce a buddy system or a mentor, someone who can quietly support the student in class without making him awkward or dependent. And number four, have all professors trained to understand how to engage with people in need is very important. And lastly, ensure support is not just technical but emotional too. Just a simple, having someone checking make a big difference. That means that I graduated 8 years ago, so things are changing a lot. So my biggest recommendation would be keep talking to students and find out what do they actually mean today in Indian classroom. Because accessibility is not a checklist, it is a continuous conversation.
Thank you so much. I would like to add something like IIM Bangalore has a disability cell, and the job of that cell is what exactly everything what she is talking about, to understand the needs of people with disabilities and make the support available, and that those kind of things can also be done. And individually, I think all of you should take the responsibility that if you have anybody in your class maybe with a person with or without disability, somebody who is lagging behind, just maybe spend some time and try to understand what is it that the person needs and support them. And that will make the education inclusive and accessible to all. Thank you so much. But if you have any question, we can take maybe 2 maximum questions. Anybody has any question? No questions? We answered all? Thank you so much.